from Turkey, from Germany, Ireland, Cyprus, Spain, France, and then we also have lots of people joining us in the live stream. And then we have Trish saying hi, Maribel from Spain, Antonina saying hello, we have Claire from the UK, we have Pia from Sweden, we have Robert from Ireland, Miriam from Serbia, wonderful, Diana from Canada, we have people from North Carolina, Tennessee, we have people from the UK, France, India, warm Colorado, New Hampshire, Slovakia, Pennsylvania, Finland. We also have Finland here in the Zoom room, I know. Essex, Massachusetts, Quebec, Croatia, Romania, Ireland, Netherlands, Lithuania, Portugal, Pakistan, Kuwait, wow, France, Hungary, Montenegro. Warmest welcome, everyone. Hi from Portugal. We have people from Canada here in the room as well. And yes, Heli is also from Finland. And we have Natalia, Latvia, beautiful, Marcela, Sweden, Patricia, Chile, Sabina, Hungary. Wonderful to have you all here today. And this is the first of 3 special days in this event that we call the Artist Path Camp, where Lauren McCracken, Konstantin Starkov, and Terlyn de Brooy will be teaching us live. And this is a very special event because we both have Artefacto family people here with us, and we also have lots of people who are new to this space and who are joining us from the live stream. Let me just check my sound because Perfect. So warmest welcome. Please share where you are from and what your goals are for this Artist Path Camp. So in these 2 weeks, we have 3 sessions where you will begin to shape your own plan for growth in watercolor and find your artistic direction. And the first session is with our wonderful, beautiful Terlyn. I will welcome her into the stage just now. This is an open session with our curator, who is a wonderful artist, super supportive teacher, inspiring human being, Terlyn de Brooy, with both practice, meaning we will be painting watercolor, and with a feedback session where she will be giving feedback to other artworks from previously. This is a Zoom session with Artefacto family members, which is a monthly tradition in the Artefacto community. This is also a sneak peek for guests who are joining us on the live stream. And what is our camp about? So this 3-day event over 2 weeks, what is it about? First and foremost, this is an invitation for you to continue with Artefacto Family, your artistic path, which is a program that you can join if you want more of this throughout the year ahead. We also have a feedback session with our wonderful Terlyn, as well as 2 painting demos on top of the one we have today with the renowned masters, an inspirational art talk. We also have we have 2 painting demos. We have an inspirational art talk. We have Q&A sessions and a chat for like-minded people in WhatsApp that you've already been invited to, and lots of inspiration and insights. And our goal is to provide a step-by-step solution of your artistic track and your progress. So this Zoom will last for about 2 hours. We never know exactly how long in advance. And there are people there to support you in the chat, so make sure to ask your questions, share your insights and your takeaways there, and use it. And why does Zoom and feedback matter? What is the purpose of having that additional support system instead of only watching pre-recorded courses? First and foremost, it gives you focus, where every session gives you a very focused and meaningful path. You know what to focus on, and you have that setting of being super present in the moment. You turn practice into progress. You don't feel alone and without direction. Instead, you have that sense of direction. And you feel supported, not just corrected, but encouraged by the community around you. There's a clarity and structure where when we have that other human being, real human beings there to be there on your path. And you gain confidence to start sharing your artworks, even if you don't feel good enough for having an art exhibition or posting them all over social media. You get to try and explore who you are as an artist in a safe environment. And you get to break the cycle of repeating the same mistakes because you get that additional feedback and those opinions and thoughts from other wonderful artists. And our beautiful instructor today, here to share that community, that support, that encouragement and insights, is Terlyn Dupoy. She's from the USA, a longtime curator for Artefacto family and many of our courses. With 35 plus years of teaching experience, she knows so well how to guide both beginners and advanced artists to find their strengths and see what's next for them. She's an internationally recognized master pastelist, award-winning exhibitor, and signature member of multiple pastel societies. And she has taught watercolor for decades, and her deep expertise and supportive style make her feedback super valuable for our community. So we are super grateful to have you here, Terlyn. Let me see if I can stop sharing the station so we get to meet you.
Hi.
And we're
Thank
super
you.
happy to have you here. And you have been teaching a lot, and you also have been teaching in Artefacto a lot. So let's take a look at some of the comments here. And I would love to ask you, what is it that you love about supporting other people and teaching other people and helping them grow? What makes you passionate about that? Because I know that you
Uh,
are.
that I am, and that's a great question. I love seeing people who really want to express themselves and to grow and create their own voice in their artwork. And if I can help guide them through that and encourage them to go in certain directions that might expand their potential, and then I watch them grow. I have a number of students here that I've seen for the last couple of years growing, and it's so wonderful. It's so exciting to me to see people coming to a point where they can play and create art the way they want to do it with their own personal expression.
And I love this. You can read all of them, but I love this one. Terrellin is a real treasure. I work myself as a teacher, and very few times I saw a teacher who was so precise, so careful in choosing the right words. Her commitment and caring about students is fantastic. She is both a very talented artist and an extraordinary teacher. So we're super lucky to have you. And now you're muted, Terrellin, so if you want to share.
No, I was because I knew you were talking, but I'll
Hmm.
take a chance to read these later. But oh my gosh, thank you so much. I do it because I love it. And I guess when you share caring around the world, the caring just goes everywhere, doesn't it?
And Maureen in the chat here says Terrellin is the bomb in a positive way.
Bomb.
Bam.
Bam.
Let me just see if there are any. We have lots of hellos in the chat. Perfect. You got help there. Wonderful. Bonjour.
As
Wonderful.
we said earlier, too, if you're not having fun with your art, why are you doing it? You know, we got to have fun with it, right? And it releases us to be more relaxed when we're creating.
Thank you so much for that. And
Yeah.
today is the first day of this 2 week program, and it's an open session with Terrellin. We have both a practical part, and we also have a feedback part, and then we have the presentation of how you can continue to join as you want to continue, how you can do that. But we're going to start with practice, and the theme right now within this community and within this framework that we have put together is tonal painting that breathes. Explore mood and atmosphere through tone. Learn to create depth and guide the eye. And the practical task is express calm, mystery, or joy using tone, not color. And before I hand it over to the painting part, Terrellin, I would love to hear your words on why this is important. First and foremost, what does this mean? And how can it transform our possibilities as artists to focus on this specific theme?
Yes, exactly. This helps when we're creating, especially landscapes, but in any type of painting, a depth in our artwork. We have to realize we're working on a two-dimensional surface. So our paper or whatever our substrate is just has height and width. But what we want to do is create that illusion of 3 dimensions on a flat piece of paper, basically. And how do we do that? There's a number of different ways. And I have an upcoming course that's going to be released on October 28th, I think, that deals with a lot of these approaches. But one primary way is with tone, how light and dark things are, and how that contrast relates with something that's further, that illusion of something further in the painting and something that's closer in the painting. Does that answer that?
Yes, it does. So it's actually time for me to hand it over to you and to the practical part.
Oh, okay.
It's time to start painting. And also, do we need paper, watercolor supplies to join?
I'll tell you what I have. Maybe let's see, because I want to do a little background review first. Hannah, don't see my, oh, there it is. I'm looking for this. There. Sorry, my computer's in the way, but I have my references here on my iPad. I'm going to have a sketchbook and go over a couple things, and then I'm going to do a painting. So in the sketchbook, I'll do just simple tonal paintings, values, I guess, lights and darks. And then in the more accomplished paintings, we'll work with color in the same way. But if I can give you a little background right now, let me back off here and share my screen. Actually, I'm going to share this. All right. These are some photograph examples of how value or tone, which are basically the same thing, work within a photograph. So we can see very clearly here the difference of what is close to us and what has that illusion of being in the distance. The mountains closer to us are darker, or they seem darker, have more contrast in them. Then we have these middle tones, and it gets lighter and lighter and lighter as we go into the distance. That helps us to create that magical illusion of depth in a painting. How to translate that into a painting is another story, and that's something we want to do. The reason this happens is it's called atmospheric perspective. Atmospheric perspective. And the cause is because there's more atmosphere between what is in the distance and what is close to us. In reality, the mountains that are back here look exactly the same. If you're standing back on this mountain and then you come and stand on the mountain close to you, the trees, everything looks the same. But as we look at it in a distance, all that atmosphere and humidity and particles in the air and the diffraction and refraction of light creates the illusion that it's going to be lighter and a little bit bluer as it goes back. Bluer is because of the way light waves travel, and blue tends to travel the furthest distance. But that's another whole scientific thing, and we don't want to go too far into that today. Here's another example, a little tree here. You can see it's quite dark. We know in reality that the trees back on this shoreline are just as dark as this. It's just the same. But again, because of atmospheric perspective, it seems to get a little lighter, and then those that are further back are even more light. I'm showing you this in landscape, but this also works in still life, if you want to create depth in your still life, portraiture, anything. Here's another one, tree close, mid, and then far away. In the example that I'm working with today on this mountain, this was out west. This is actually, it's very helpful. but this was a fire had gone through these mountains, which was tragic. Again, the mountain here and the mountain here, in reality, have the same physical appearance. But because we're looking at this one at a distance, it appears different. It's that illusion that we want to create of light and change and distance. I know I'm repeating, but repetition, I think, is very important. So what I did with this photo, and this will be the first one we play with, I kind of divided it into different areas. This would be a foreground, a midground, and the distance. So we can kind of see there's almost two grounds here, but that's okay. Just to see that we're thinking how to divide this. And within each of these areas, we have interesting shapes. You don't just want something boring and flat. If I take, and I have to jump back and forth here, but the dark here and this green and then this light area, and I use a tool, and I use Procreate for this. It's an app that is very helpful. You can do it in Photoshop or other apps. I can pick up this color to look at it. What does this look like? What does this look like? And I add it into this. So the foreground of that picture, here's the dark, the middle, the lighter area, and another middle tone. If I go back to this area and do the same thing, what's the darkest in this area is not as dark as what's up here. So we can see this is the next layer. And these are the colors I actually pulled out of that mid-ground. And then in the distance, this dark it seems so much lighter. So that is for the distance. And I hope this helps you see those areas differently. In a cityscape like this, it's not quite as obvious, but I did divide it up kind of awkwardly here, but it's fun, right? So this in the light blue area, this is nearby us. The darks are going to be darker here, the lights lighter, as opposed to the darks back here and the lights back here. I again picked up the different areas, the darks, the lights. See how the lights get not as bright as you go into the distance. This is our value scale or our tonal scale from white to black. This is a 10-step one. If you're a beginner, step it back, and we're going to step it back a little bit to about 5 values or 5 tones. So from white to black, a middle tone, a mid-dark, and a mid-light. If you have a little chart like this, when you are painting, it will help you to distinguish between those areas. This illustrates, again, with the 10 scale, but this is everything. So anything up close would have the whole value scale like this, nearby. As you further go into the distance, you're losing the extreme values on the ends. And you're going to work with these middle areas. You see where the red line is, indicates those areas. And as you get further back in the distance, it's going to be reduced even more. So by doing this, that helps you build on the illusion of distance for your painting. Here's a little house. I've exaggerated here, aerial perspective, good contrast, good detail. There's other elements that help you bring things forward. Today, we are focusing on tone. There's supposed to be a little house back here with a tree. It kind of blends in more. And then as these get back further, simplify, go into the distance. I think that's my last on this. Oh, I did quick sketches today of the 2 reference photos. Simplified, don't get fancy. This is the mountain scene, and this is that city scene. If you are in the WhatsApp group, and Artefacto has a number of them. In the 5-year celebratory WhatsApp group, I shared these last night. So there's an advantage. There's such great camaraderie in this WhatsApp group. Everyone encouraging and supporting each other. I get in every now and then trying to make a comment here and there, but I'm also busy doing a lot of the critiquing otherwise, on the submissions that people do for the courses. How are we doing, Hannah?
I just absolutely love this, and for everyone who's in the Zoom room, they share. First and foremost, Marcela says fantastic explanation, and Sabine says I wish I've had this wonderful explanation when I started painting. Eva says you're a goddess, Carolyn. And what I love about this is when we have a community, when master teachers come in, world-renowned artists, they very frequently teach at a level where they kind of jump over lots of steps because they want to teach what they're experts at. They want to give the tools to create a beautiful painting. You kind of have to just jump ahead for that. And what this does, that complements this so that it's a complete path, not just the end result, jumping straight to the end result, is that we get the whole path that leads to that, and the awareness, the foundational awareness that we need to build upon. And you do it so beautifully, Carolyn.
Thank you.
So well prepared. I'm super impressed. So I just wanted to pop in and share how impressed I am with that. We have a question from Tanya. Does it matter which color we make the value study with? Will choosing a warm or cool interfere with making a good study? Is it better to choose a neutral tint or something else?
Oh, no, it does not at all, because you can do it with like neutral tints. I might use the neutral tints for my value study. But if you look back at a lot of the classical masters, they also use sepia tone. You can use one color, but it is good for the value study to use just one color, lighter and darker.
Thank you. And then we have Leslie saying, Artifact is amazing. I hope to start sharing my painting soon with the group. Would love the feedback and encouragement. Oh, so that's the next level. Beautiful. Thanks for sharing that, Leslie. And now I'm going to pop out again so that we get to take part of your beautiful teaching.
Okay, and I'm going to switch cameras. So I need to go. This is one. Ta-da! Move this. Wait, I want to turn this off. You don't need to see the back of my head. All right. Actually, I'm going to put this over here so I can see what you're seeing. I am on the road right now. I travel a lot. That's like my moniker is the traveling artista. That's my website and everything else. Because I travel a lot, and I have to make things work wherever I am. So if you see something a little odd in the background, that is why. Just checking my information. Yes, and you can find me easily online. I love being with Artefacto. I've been so impressed since I started working with this school that how well organized it is. They are growing, and it's exciting to be part of that. All right, so I think you can see my reference photo there. Again, I'm going to simplify. You can't see. Oh, shoot. Let me move. Sorry about this. I would love to have one like studio where I just set everything up and leave it and walk on, and there's everything. But you can't travel and do that. And I love traveling worldwide. I'm so glad that the pandemic is over. I'm going to start traveling again. I will be doing a live workshop in Italy in April. There's still room in that. And I will be covering a lot of the foundations, as Hannah says, because I feel that's vital. We can always use a review of the foundations because we forget them. Sometimes there's so many of them, we go like, oh, wait, what was that? Oh yeah, I forgot about that. It's important to do these steps. Can you see that? Okay. I know it's a light pencil drawing.
Yeah.
And okay, good. Thank you. So as we're talking, just in a simplified way, we're going to work with the values here. As I said, I am going to just use some neutral tint. Neutral tint is powerful. Look how powerful that pigment is. It's wonderful. I always use like ivory black. There's many others that you can use. I don't use Payne's Gray personally, but it's a wonderful color, partially because it usually has some blue in it. And I don't want the blue mixing in with my dark color. Neutral tint can darken your hues, your colors, without actually changing the hue of them. All right, let's start up front. You saw what I had taking the color out of this before. I'm just going to do something quickly. We'll start, because we don't have a lot. We have so much to do, so little time. It's wonderful. Getting some brightness as I'm looking along the ridge, this foreground area, and I'm on dry paper. This is just a sketchbook, nothing fancy. It's Strathmore watercolor sketchbook. And I can throw in, and these are studies. These are not high-end paintings. I'm just having fun. Look where I'm holding my brush. Hold your brush back further. We're not writing. This is writing. We're painting. We want to go back on our brush and let our brush dance some and have fun. Okay, little contrast here in the foreground. As we step back, we're going to add more water because we want it a little lighter. I'll check off to the side here. That's a little bit lighter. Just bringing it down. I am not going to touch that edge because I'm working quickly for the study and I don't want it to bleed into it too much. Often I will do a study like this in a small sketchbook about this size. You just need a small thumbnail to get a feeling of your values in your painting. And I think I'm a strong advocate of doing thumbnails. A thumbnail, often if you see my other sketchbooks, this one, it has some in here, a credit card about that size. That's the perfect size to do a quick little study, get the feeling of where you're going, get your overall design down. Now I've added more water, so it's a little lighter. And this, I know this is fundamental, but how many of us, when we get painting, forget to do these steps? Forget to go like, oh yeah, that's going back in the distance. It needs to be lighter. A little more water. See how very simply we're creating depth. Okay, I'm getting a little blossom here. I am not going to worry about that. I love watching watercolor dance and play with me. And sometimes it wants to do its own thing. I will kind of let it do that thing and then figure out where it is. Later on, I can decide if I need to adjust or not. I want this even lighter, so I'm just touching my brush to the paper towel to remove some of the ink. Now I've gone too far. Move some of the paint. And very simply, we have depth. You get the feeling just with black and white that this is going back into the distance.
We had a question, Teralyn, regarding your paper. Is the sketchbook 100% cotton? And what are your thoughts on, paper for sketching?
Yeah. For sketching, I don't believe this. I can't remember because when I take my sketchbooks, I take off the paper that comes on the outside, and I'd have to look it up right now. I don't believe this is 100% cotton, but it's a sketchbook, and I don't really care. You know, it's just for quick sketches. See, these are my little credit card size sketches. I can do full paintings from these little sketches I do. They're quick, and they give me, I make notes beside them. Sometimes colored. This is in my course. Sorry, I don't know about this, but the paper that I am doing the other painting on, yes, is 100% cotton. I find it's the best paper to use. Anything that is cellulose, like from, tree paper, is fine, but there's a sizing on the surface. You have to play with that. It accepts the paint differently, kind of like this.
We had one final
Try to answer the
question.
question. Yeah, please
Yeah,
ask.
I think that was great. For
Okay.
sketching, it depends on your purposes, basically. We had a
Yes.
question regarding the sky. What value would the sky be? Because now you left it white because it is a sketch. But if you were painting it, how would you think of the value of the sky?
Well, if we look at our reference photo, it's even lighter than that distant hill there. So I've left it white in this because, oh, you can't see, because in comparison, it is much lighter. So we're comparing each layer as we go back.
Thank you so much. And then we had a question from Patricia. What should we think regarding paper weight for sketchbook? Because perhaps we don't need
Oh,
exactly the same thickness as we do when we paint our real, so to speak, watercolor paintings.
that's a good question. I like it thick enough so it's not going to ripple too much. Here's a little sketch I did on regular paper. This is like 90-pound paper. Sorry, I don't know that in European terms. It's going to wrinkle more. It's going to, yeah, wrinkle. Where here, this is thicker. I think this is 140, 120, 140. So it's thicker watercolor paper and it won't bubble as much. Now, the same type of thing on our cityscape. And we're not going to do this. You can eventually do it in detail, but I'm going to exaggerate what is going on. We'll say this is in shadow, the sidewall of this building. And I'm exaggerating here for illustration's sake. I usually turn my paper. What I'll do is I'll turn my whole board like this, so then I can get a nice straight line there. And we'll do some doors down here that are dark, windows. Again, I am simplifying the image to make a point so the things close to us have a lot of contrast. Okay. This is in that same area. And then say this one as well. So remember we talked, it's almost like when you're on a stage and the sets on a stage go back in the distance, and we want to think about that. What's the part of the set that's closest to us? What goes back further? And we're creating that illusion. I'm going to keep this contrasty just for now, for this illustration's sake. I'm holding a little tighter. As you notice, I came down on my brush because now I'm working with a cityscape and I need a little more control of the image. I'm going to lift this slightly. Just a damp brush, clean damp brush. Drag it along there, lift. Shadow coming across. If you're doing this for a finished painting, you're going to take much more care and time. But I'm doing this for the understanding of where we're going with it. The next layer back, if you remember, it's on my computer, it's over there, you know, how I drew out the different areas. The next layer back is going to be a little more, it's going to be lighter. We're just working with value. You may be working with one color. I don't know if that's going to create a washback problem. Okay, this is a totally different thing, but this is already dry. See, cellulose paper dries faster than rag paper. Okay, next, I'm adding a little more water, but not too much water. Here's a trick. If you have paint in your brush and you want to twist the brush as you're mixing your paint, you want it equally spread out in your brush. So you're going to twist the brush as you're kind of mixing the paint. See, I'm turning it around. It's equally loaded. If you think you have too much water in this brush, then you can touch the fat, the belly part of the brush on the edge of a paper towel or your sponge to remove some of the water without removing the paint that's at the tip. Check my value. It's so quiet. It's like there's no one here.
We do have some questions if you like, Carolyn.
Oh, yes. Yeah. Wonderful.
Randy asked, can you explain why you begin with the darkest value and move towards the lightest rather than the opposite?
I do both. I usually do work light to dark. I often work top to bottom, back to front. This situation, I'm making a specific point of the value difference, talking about the high contrast in the foreground and less contrast in the background. So this is more for an illustrative point rather than the way I normally paint. That's a very good question.
I think that also kind of answers Lynn's questions, which is, if you were not within the time constraints of doing a live video, would you be needing to let each value area dry before painting the adjacent area or of a different value to prevent blooms? So what is the technical aspect of what you're doing now compared to what you would do in a quote unquote real watercolor painting?
In a real watercolor painting, yes. Yes, I would probably wait because you don't want that overlap in the blooms. You can see here, I got that overlap situation. So definitely, if I'm doing a formal painting, I often work in different areas on a painting while I get the sky in. While that's drying, I wouldn't go into the buildings. If the building is touching the sky, I would go down and come my first wash in the foreground, then go back. So it's a back and forth and moving around, playing with the water, knowing at what stage it is. In my course that's coming on October 28th, I talk about the different wetnesses of your paper, whether it's glossy, a sheen, matte, or dry, and what techniques you can do at each stage of the painting. We also talk about how thick your paint is. So yes, those things make a big difference. I'm going to lay in kind of the street here. Yeah, this is a cellulose paper. It's not doing what I normally would like to do, but that's okay. Again, not a super fancy painting, just kind of fun. And then the sidewalk coming at us. See how that dries so fast? Now I'm going to have a line there. But that gives an idea of distance just with our value. We can add in a little sky if we'd like. And depending on what kind of day it is. But realizing that the buildings back here in reality are just as contrasty as what's near us. But because of the illusion we're creating, we want it to fade back and use a more limited value range as things go into the distance. Any more questions? I'm going to set that aside.
Oh, yes.
Go ahead.
Frederick asked, how could we decide how many different tonal values to use? So how many values do we use, and do you have any recommendation of how to think?
Yeah, I would recommend, especially as you're practicing this, and to back off. Here, I've picked up 4 values. Let's go to the landscape one. 4 values, 4 or 5 values is good to really practice. When you're doing a value sketch like we just did, it's good to limit them so you don't have too many going on. And it's good practice. We need to practice too. That's why I do so many little sketchbook things, because I'm practicing and reviewing all of the techniques and elements and principles of art that I need to review before I go in to finish a painting. I would recommend, see, here's 4 to start with. But then, of course, as you go back, it's going to change in the distance. It's surprising to me, and this is not in the same order as was on my computer that I showed you, but it's surprising that this green becomes this color. But again, it's because it's the atmosphere and the long blue light rays, as opposed to this area and that area. So I should have flipped it over. I apologize. But this is the foreground, the midground, and the background. So let's play with that. Let's start with the background. We can see here, get a little clear area on my palette. I use this smaller palette when I'm doing demos because the big one doesn't fit into the camera. Yes.
Oh, are we gonna paint first a sketch of both of them, and then we're gonna paint both of them? I love that.
So we
In
did a
color.
value sketch, which again, I would normally do a small one, not the large. I did it larger because I wanted it to be on camera. Okay. And then I did a little practice sketch with the colors. So here's my little practice sketch. I'm like, oh, that's okay. That's pretty good. You can decide, you can change colors. If you do small ones, you can try a number of different colors, but that's another whole thing. So let's try to follow these values. See if I can jump back and forth. I'm going to start in the background using, wrong thing, this area. So I happen to have some lavender here, which is wonderful for distance. And perhaps a hint of ultramarine blue. But it's also neutralized. So neutral would be, I mean, how do we mix neutrals? We don't just add black or neutral tint. It's more interesting if we add a complement. So the complement of blue is in the orange family. So I think I'll pick up a little burnt sienna, which is in the orange family. I'll put it here so it's available if I need it. I have 3 different piles. I can pick them up bit by bit, mix them slowly to see which one is working for me. You see how I can add more of the red if I want, more of that ultra blue. And I am going to do the distant. Now I go to the mountain scene. The distant mountains. Very light in there. This is going to be quick because Hannah, about what time should we start with a review of the paintings? In about 15 minutes?
I actually don't know how long that will last, so we're
I'm
gonna
planning to give that about 40 minutes. So
we'll take it as we go.
okay. Well, we have about 40 paintings to look at, and I want to give everybody, I mean,
Wow.
that's like a
Yeah.
minute. So there's the blue in the background. Now we see that it becomes a little more, as we come forward, a little more green. Back to the reference photo. So I already have that color that was in the distance. Now I can just add a bit of green to my lavender. And this will give a nice idea of the next one. I can see already we're not quite deep enough. Let's add more pigment into that. Here I don't mind if it touches a little bit and I get a little bit of a blossom because that will look like there's trees there. Is my hand in the way? I'm sorry. So see how this one has, it's in the value scale, it's a little darker. So it helps to bring it forward somewhat. Now, what if we wanted, this is an aside, what if we wanted some fog or something in there? We could just dampen our brush and just lift a little of that paint there. And then that's a fog in the valley that's back there. I also noticed that there's some dirt down here. I want a little bit of that in the distance. Check my color, that's too bright. I lighten it. I might add that down into the valley down here. But see, it's very subtle. It's subtle, so it will sit way back in the distance. Our next step coming up in this area. Notice I haven't added any real darks yet. I am going to add a little of here in this, and it needs some ultra blue. And then the next step up, a little more green, a little more burnt sienna. It's going to make it stronger.
We have a question what green you are using when you pick up that green. What green is that?
That's a great question. I have, if you look at my palette, the only green I have on here is a sap green. It's just something, it's so easy to mix green with your blues and your yellows. If you do mix a green, make sure you start with the yellow and then add the blues. But I do have sap green. I like it. Over here, it's already had other things added in. I often don't clean my whole palette because I don't want straight out of the tube color. I like colors that are already partially pre-mixed, and it makes a more interesting and natural look on my painting. So this green over here is mostly sap green with a little burnt sienna and some blue and possibly a little bit of the neutral tint in it. I hope that answers. Now, as I come forward, I can see there's more variety. We start seeing it all kind of blends together back here, but here there's a little more value variety, a little more dark to light. I'm going to wet my brush. I would do more with, spraying and having more fun with this. But again, it's just for an illustrative to give you an idea how to use value in a general way when you're creating a painting. A little more green down here. There's that field. We'll add some rusty color. Say there's some dirt on the side of the hill. And then the foreground, this one is showing us that burnt area of the forest. I'm going to push my brush up here to indicate trees. I would also see if I can do this quickly, but a light spray to allow it to blossom out. And now I also start thinking of the individual trees, things that are happening along here. More green. And you can leave some of the sparkle shining through at this point. We want to get some contrast here to help bring it forward. I'm going to mist the foreground. Down in the floor. I was fascinated by the burnt forest. It's tragic, but it was so beautiful. Acres and acres had been burnt. I tend to let things kind of fade off in the corners to vignette and bring the eye toward the center. This is not a super fancy painting. It's, again, the idea. So let's get some ground in there. We'll just throw some in. So the dirt's showing through, or some rusty trees. And I'm just touching and I'm letting the paint do a lot of the work itself. Cleaning my brush. And now I'm going to add a little, get some sky color up there. Nice little edge of the sun right along. See, now I want to get this out of the way. I want to come in with my hand, so I'm watching what the tip of my brush is doing. If I'm trying to do it this way, I can't see what my brush is doing. I'll turn my paper board, or I'll move my hand to create what I want. And the more you paint and play around and try different things, whoa, that is not the color I wanted, but that's all right. We'll just say it's a foggy day. That's a nice thing about watercolor. You go, oops, oh yeah, clouds are coming in. That's okay. So very quickly, and I would come back and I would check my composition and my point of interest. Again, that's not really my intent for this painting. My intent here is to show you value going back in the distance, and how by simplifying it, it gives a stronger statement to your painting. Any more questions?
We had a question from Leslie that was regarding cleaning the brush. Any tips for rinsing paintbrush between colors? I tend to get so much pigment into my water and have to keep refreshing my water far too often. I think everyone can recognize the frustration of needing to clean the brush and then losing so much paint to the water.
Right. And you have to seriously, don't think about how much paint you're losing. You're going to lose paint, and you'll just kind of don't try not to think about that too much. I normally have two tubs. I'll have what I call my dirty tub, where I clean my brush off mostly. I'll check how clean it is on my sponge, and then I go to my clean water before picking up pigment again. Again, I'm traveling, so I just have the one tub. At this point, I would probably get up and go change my water. But it's good. If we sit too long in front of our painting, we need to get up and get our blood moving, get things going. That's my opinion. Everybody has their own way.
And thank you so much for that. And of course, we do have some questions that I'm actually gonna skip ahead of because I really want us to paint, and we do have a lot of painting left to do. So I'm gonna.
Well, I'm concerned about the time too, because
Yeah, so I think painting is priority number one.
well, I can paint and answer questions at the same time. I can do that.
Okay.
If you want. My next one is going to be, let me just do this. We're going to play with this a little bit. This one, let's work from back to foreground. So I'm going to start with the sky, the lighter values. I did also do a quick value sketch here with color. Didn't come out quite the way I wanted, partially because of the paper that I was working on. It's just, drawing paper. But that's going to be my approach for that. So I'll do the same thing, lighter and then darker coming forward. I'm going to clean some areas. I'll tell you, pastel, you don't lose the paint so much. You can save what comes out of your pastel and reconstitute it and reuse it.
If you reuse the watercolor paint, it's going to be very much just a grayish, muddy color.
Yeah,
I guess you could do that too.
So true, Hannah. so true. But you could, if you had a large, like a full sheet imperial or something, you could use it to tone your paper if you wanted to tone the paper. You could let the water evaporate and see what kind of nice neutral paint you would have at the bottom. You could use that. Ooh, you just gave me some great ideas. Let me see what the color of my water is. It's not too bad. If you use a large tub too, the water will also last longer. Makes sense. Okay. For my sky, I am going to use the tip of my brush is going to follow along my drawing. And I'm just adding water. And I'm going along the profile of the buildings to get my sky in. Okay, now's a good time for questions. Hannah's disappeared.
Yeah, I'm considering. I'm reading through them.
Okay.
We have one request to, if it's possible, to be even clearer with the color choices. Someone wants to know exactly what paints you choose.
Okay. I thought I had mentioned most of them. Okay.
Yeah, that's.
I'll be careful. Yeah.
It's always very difficult to hear everything someone says when you're painting.
There's a lot going on. And this is a recording, and people can watch this again if they wish. This is cerulean blue. So I'm going to start with that with my sky. It's kind of a cloudy day here, but I'm going to play around. Actually, on your screen, it looks pretty cerulean blue. Doesn't look like that on my actual photo. Broadcast changes color and the way things look. So I'm pre-mixing a little cerulean, and I'm going to pick up a little more of my lavender, which just I have found is great for distance. You can glaze with lavender or cerulean to push things back in the background. All right, looking at how this is going, I just dampened a little bit more there. I think it's quite damp at the edge. I want it very light as the sky gets lighter. Again, I'm tipping my painting. As it goes down toward the horizon, the sky is lighter. I want to follow that. Very loose. Skies are wonderful because you don't have to worry about too much exactitude. No, like I did in the other one, it was like, oops, oh well, it's a cloudy day. If you accidentally drop some paint somewhere, you go, oh, there was a bird flying through. There, we'll just fix that in. Don't try to fix it. Let the paint work with you. So there's kind of a sky. Now, I don't want to go into the distant buildings at this point because that is wet. So I'm going to do my first glaze down over the foreground. I'm going to start with neutral tint because it's kind of gray, but it's not just gray. If we look at this, it's a purplish gray. Whoa, the neutral tint always surprises me. Purplish gray, we can add this is ultramarine blue. Put that near it. See, I don't mix it right in. I put it near it so I can pull different amounts at different times. And a little bit of one of my alizarans here. Just to kind of make it purplish. Cleaning my brush, getting some of the water out. Start mixing mostly blue, a little of that neutral tint. See that the alizarin's getting very strong. It's quite purple here. So now I'm going to pull out a little more of the neutral. And I think that's pretty good. Now this is a street, and I would be very careful painting the stripes on the street. I'd have to paint around them. Don't have time for that today. So I'm going to take my brush and basically kind of lay it flat and drag it across the surface of the paper, if I can do this. Trying to keep it in your camera view. So this is kind of a dry brush, just skipping across the surface of the paper. So it gives that feeling of asphalt. And now while it's still somewhat damp, I can add in my crosswalk. Notice how they get larger as they come at me. That's linear perspective. Just picking up a little of the edge here, little shadow along the sidewalk edge. And I'm going to pull up some brick color. I want to start working with the bricks. We're going to start in the distance, and our focus here is lighter, less contrast to more contrast in the foreground. I have some burnt sienna already on my palette. I'm going to bring in a little of this lavender. If you don't have lavender, a little bit of ultramarine blue or cerulean will still do it. You don't have to have the exact colors that the instructor has. I need a scrap piece of paper. Oh, here it is. I want to test my color before I use it. If I put this on my painting and go, oh, that's not the color I want, it's too late, it's on the painting. By just having a little scrap piece of paper, it's going to help you choose your color. That's good. It's a bit strong. I need a little more water. Lighten it as it goes back. Good. Now, as I come forward, I create more, because this is not just tone anymore. Now, as we come forward, the tone and value gets more intense, but also the color gets more intense. Oh, check the color. Check. Looks pretty good. Put my hand up from that wet sky. This is tricky. If I set my hand down there, I'm going to get a blob right in that sky. So I have to, I'm using my little, you can't see. I'm using my little finger, hello, to hold my hand up. I can't get it at the right angle. Can you see that at all? I use my little finger to keep my hand off this. So I have the finger up there. Nope. There it is. See my little finger? It's resting on my board right up there. And then I can come and paint in there without touching that part of my painting. You can also use a mahl stick. I don't have a mahl stick. A mahl stick is what a lot of oil painters use, where they hold it like this and you can rest on the stick while you're painting. It keeps your hand off. Okay. And make that a little rougher. Leave the idea of some windows. Can let these, they're kind of at the same distance so they can blend together. That little building I want a little further back, a little more blue and a little more light, so more water. But it's in the shadows, so. Again, if I were going to paint this, I probably wouldn't do it this way. I'm showing you how value and tone work going into the distance. I would probably paint all the buildings and let them unite. There's so many approaches to doing this. My point today is I don't normally do this step, one area at a time, one area at a time. I'm doing it for the sake of illustration. A little more warmth in this building. I want it a little more in the shadow. So I'm just grabbing, I already have some purple here. So I can pick that up to make more of a shadow on this side of this building. use the paints you already have mixed. More russet, burnt sienna. I'm throwing in some shadows on that section that goes back. There's a parking lot here is actually what this is. There's a lot of cars here. I'm not going to add that because that's not my intention today. But you can see how thinking simply helps you. And then if you do a more complete painting, you would have to include all of these things. Yeah. So quiet, Hannah. All right, what's one way we can make these brighter? I'm adding in a little cad yellow to my burnt sienna. That will warm it up and bring it forward. Color is more intense. I want to consider some windows, so I will just leave white, and then I can come back in later with some darks to add details. I did also, these areas are a little bit in perspective. They're heading back into that area. I'm going to put this side of these two buildings basically in shadow. Propping my other hand so that I can get in and not rest my hand on the wet paint. So again, I'm a teacher here. I'm teaching about value and how to make it work in your painting, not necessarily making a beautiful painting. But this is one element that is important in our paintings. I've just made this a different kind of building here. You know what I'm doing? I'm thinking that, oh my goodness, we have the critique to do. A critique is a good thing. We'll talk about this, but it just, critique is not criticism. It's a way of examining your paintings and discussing them so that you can improve your artwork. You can see my mind is half on the critique for later. Oop. Window. Is there any questions? Because
there are comments about how people love your tips. So Leslie says, I love all of our tips to put the colors on your palette next to each other and slowly pull them into the mixed. Brilliant. And Dorothy says, we are watching and learning quietly. And Lil Nell says, this is so helpful. I do get paint on the wrong places from time to time. And Caroline, appreciate the breakdown. Leslie had a question, how are tone and intensity different?
Intensity, tone, from my understanding, and I think this is the difference between the Americas and Europe. I think you call what I call value, you call tone, how light or dark something is. Intensity has to do with the chroma, CHROMA, the chroma of your color, how bright the color is. Like this color right here is very, very bright. So that's intense.
So
If
saturation.
saturation is another word for that. If I add water, it slowly dissipates and gets lighter. So that's the intensity.
Thank you for that. How much more do you plan to paint? Should we take the next chapter
I
soon?
think we're about to next. I'm just going to quickly, so then you would come in and you would add details. Wait for this to dry. It's not dry enough, but you would come and then you can add your dark bright details and come. But this point of this one is showing that things get softer and lighter as they go back. Let me check this.
We do
Here.
have received several questions regarding the brush. So that is a one that I paused for later because we needed to get ahead, but that's a great question to take now. What is it?
Brush.
And is it synthetic? Is it natural hair or natural vegetation?
Yep. This particular brush is a rosemary brush. She's out of England. And this one is synthetic. I've recently adopted these brushes. This one is a Kolinsky sable brush. And they have a nice belly on them and they come to a beautiful, controllable point. The Kolinsky sable is by far my favorite, but this is the only size they make it in. This one is very similar in how it works, but it is a synthetic and it is much larger. I think this is a 12. Yeah. And I really like these. I use a lot of flat brushes, but when I'm traveling, these two brushes have really stuck with me.
Thank you so much for that.
Now, this is not going to look great as a finished painting on the review, but I hope you get the idea of how very simply it's important to get a variety of tones or values to make a painting go back into the distance.
Thank you so much for this. And once again, super impressive. Joanna says, Miss Carolyn always impress us with the transformative way of teaching. Thank you so much. Then we do have questions. We might have time to answer more of them in the end or at the end. I will, however, do a little bit of a preview of how you can learn more. Just a short preview, and then we're going to dive straight into the feedback session. But for those of you who are curious, just so you know what we're going to talk about in a moment, what was that 1 year thing about? So that your mind knows about it when I start sharing about that. Artefacto has done so much research the past 5 years, of what students need to get to that next level with as much ease and joy and flow and inspiration as possible. And here are some things that so many students have answered during hundreds of hours of research, reviews, and interviews and feedback. I feel stuck. I feel that I'm repeating the same mistakes, or I've taken so many courses, but I don't feel a structure and I don't really sense that I'm progressing the way I would like. And I paint alone. I have no feedback, no community, so I feel a bit stuck. So all of them are things that we have heard again and again, and our team has done everything they can to come up with the best solution possible for this. And that is your artistic path, which is Artefacto family, your artistic path, where you get part of this beautiful community that is here in the Zoom room, that those of you who are watching the live streamed version of this, you are in that chat. You are taking part of one of those curator sessions that we already have in Artefacto family. So this is about finding flow, growth, and belonging. And you are also guided by Watercolor Legends. This is a 12-month artistic path, a structured journey to find your way in watercolor. And in just 1 year, you'll get visible artistic growth, overcome doubts, build confidence, and see steady progress with 30+ finished artworks guided and taught by amazing watercolor masters from all around the world. And here is more of information about how Artefacto has come up with this program. This is a program, a track, and a path that takes you where you are today to being more strong, confident, and inspired as an artist in just 1 year. And this is for anyone who wants to go from feeling that they have no progress to feeling that you have a clear structure and regular check-ins and a clear motivation, and being held and supported throughout the journey by beautiful, amazing people such as Terolyn. And then we also have the legends teaching. And if you feel that you're lacking the feedback, here there are monthly live feedback sessions, which you will have a taste of in just 1 minute. And if you feel that you lack inspiration, we have both masters and a supportive community who is there to share their passion and to support you and to cheer you on. And if you're tired of courses collecting dust, this is instead a clear rhythm that will provide tangible results, where we focus on specific aspects, specific parts of the year. So this is an overview of your Artefacto family, your artistic path. So for those of you who are in the Zoom room, you're already in Artefacto family. But for those of you who are watching the live streamed version of this, here is an overview of that. And we will share more information about that for those of you who are curious, because this is all in all 24 live sessions. Half of them are with legends, watercolor legends, and half of them are with our wonderful curators, including Terolyn. So it's a beautiful community and a beautiful support system. So I just wanted to share that with all of you before we dive into the feedback, so that you know how the feedback fits into the continuation of this as well. So with that being said, Terolyn, you can prepare yourself for that part, and let me share one more slide here. Feedback. What is the value of that? And also, just go ahead and give feedback, because the most important thing is that you do what you have, what the goal is. But this can basically reveal your artistic direction and help people go from mistake to progress, and from doubt to clarity, and gain a lot of insight and inspiration. So I'm going to hand it over to you again.
Okay. Power of feedback is so important as we're growing as an artist. And I have found for myself, my own community, that I work with friends that are artists and advanced artists, and always get somebody who's a little, that's better than you in the group. And there's a variety. That feedback helps us to see things that we can't see on our own. I mean, you're painting along, and just as an example, I had a friend who did this beautiful painting of a rock with the ocean coming in, and the rock looked like Godzilla coming out of the rocks. She couldn't see that until a couple of us pointed out, say, gee, that kind of, looks like. So she fixed it. Sometimes we're so close to our paintings that we do miss things. The fact that this is a great painting, but your perspective's not, it's just a little off. This is why feedback is important. And for you, the members of Artefacto, getting trusted, professional, experienced feedback is so important. And that's what we're here for, the curators. We are your mentors to help you go along, help you improve. And as I've said, I've seen so many of you over the times I've worked with you so far improve so much. It's exciting.
And another question that I have now, because of course it's super helpful for the person who's receiving the feedback, but now we're going to be so many people who are not receiving feedback. How can we make sure to make this super valuable for us as well?
Oh, because everyone we create similar problems. We all basically go through similar journeys in our art. We can't help but do that. And by looking at someone else's painting, you think about your own painting, you go, oh, I've done that. That's why I was having trouble with that. Now I know what to do. I have a better idea. I can go back and fix that. We learn from each other so much. That's a great thing for the WhatsApp chats as well. I see people in there, they work hard to stay positive and be a supportive and encouraging community in the WhatsApp chats. If you go there and you submit something, say, I would really like feedback on this. Or you could just say, I'm just sharing this. This is something new. No need to feedback. But if you ask for feedback, then people will do that. And it's fascinating and it's encouraging and it creates community. And we are now in a worldwide community here in Artefacto. Do you want me to go right ahead?
Thank you so much for that. Now,
Yeah.
please go ahead and take us away.
Take it away. Here we are. I am going to share my screen. We have a number of paintings here that have been submitted for the feedback session. Okay, I had to reduce my, I've got all of these Zoom things around my screen. And it's fascinating, a quick overview, what variety there is here and how exciting it is. And sometimes you see an image that obviously these people have taken from the same instructor, like this one, this porch scene. Here's the porch scene. And it's wonderful to see all the different interpretations and how personal and individual they are in these critiques. So I'm going to start at the top. I'm going to try to go as quickly as possible because we're already an hour and a half. So many aspects go into a painting, as I mentioned. Your elements of design, your principles of art. I have a list, and I often go through my list to remind myself what's important about them. So as I'm studying a painting, I have this huge background of like 20 to 30 items that I'm working with. I do it fairly quickly because I have years of experience, and I want you to start understanding and working with them as well. And yet, if I mispronounce your name, I'm sorry. I speak 3 languages, but some of these I am not familiar with. This is beautiful. Look at this lyrical, flowing painting. She has worked with sharp edges, with soft edges and lost areas, creating this liquid feeling of these jellyfish underwater. The contrast here and the detail in these areas of the underside of the jellyfish is what draws our eye. And she's done that so well. There's not really anything out on the outside that is going to distract us so much. It's not going to pull our eye away from this central area where she wants us to look. And then adding these little tendrils with that white. And I zoomed in on this earlier. It's not sure exactly what she used. It was not a resist. It looks like an acrylic pen or a very tiny, tiny brush with acrylic or gouache to bring in those details. Beautiful, subtle colors in here as it would be under the water. That's beautiful. Anne has worked on this porch scene. This is great. Look at the colors of this. You feel like you are walking through, to me, you get a sense of what time of day it is. The light is still out, but it's fading over in this area. It may be the evening. So she has created for us a sense of time in the painting, a variety of brush strokes, different approaches, some soft washes here, some leaving the white shining through of the paper, little lattice work, the tree brush strokes. It's all working nicely. One comment I have about this is this area seems to be a little darker. I think it's painted darker, but I'm not sure if there might be partially a shadow over the image. So when you're photographing, you want to basically have it in good, fairly bright light. And I'll show you something. I have on when I'm photographing my artwork, I have a strip of white and a strip of black, flat white and flat black beside my painting as I photograph it. That helps the camera find a white balance and the true color for the whole painting. If you take it at home at night under lights inside the house, you're not going to get the true colors. I'm not sure if that just made me think about this. Very nice painting, Anne. This one is beautiful. It, again, if you squint down, it's almost abstract and it pulls together so nicely. She has overlapped the shapes here. So these ballerinas become almost one entity in the painting. The interesting shapes of the light areas as that bounces around keeps our eye moving throughout the painting and dancing with these dancers. This subtle little light over here, it appears maybe it's a figure, not really sure, but they're looking there and it adds a nice balance, an asymmetrical balance into this painting. Understated with the flesh and the distinction between the dress and the skin and the tutu. You don't have to spell everything out. We look at this and we all know exactly what it is. Don't always get hung up on details. Just, that's beautiful. Oh, I played with this one too, with Andy, his demo. This is great. What a great demo. Helped you have this nice feeling about the water and those birds that are coming to the boat. He must still have fish or something in the boat. His arm is outstretched. You did not overwork the details. You indicated some details. It's obvious the arm is out here. So this blue area must be a net. And there's always fish around a fish. I mean, there's always birds around a fisherman's boat. They're just looking for free food. The shadow should probably be completed here where this is a solid boat. But here I like that it comes out because you get the figure standing and things. Water is working wonderfully. My only suggestion is right here, this water. It looks like this section of the boat is on the sand. See how that sand color. If you did a light glaze of like green or something to make it feel like it's part of the water. I like this. Well done. I like the abstract shape of that boat as well. Nice. Oh, this is Antonio. Hi, Antonio. I like this. This is good size. We can tell the size of this painting because of the size of the staples. He has stapled it down to keep it flat as it dries. Must have a special board underneath. Gives us, again, a sense of place and time. It is probably early morning. I see so much of this on the coast of Maine. The boats are going out in the morning to do the fishing. The birds follow them. The sun that it's low is coming across and sparkling across that water. And the rocks and boats basically are silhouettes. They're dark against that lighter sky. You have a beautiful wash in the sky with gentle clouds indicated there, not overworked. It is so tempting at times to overwork our paintings. With silhouettes, again, I have a suggestion, not just black. Try to do it with dark colors, different hues. You could, for the rock, for instance, put some water down where the rock is going to be, and then drop in your dark colors and let them naturally bleed together. So it's not just a flat black. This is very nice, Antonio. I like it. Wonderful scene. I've seen a number of the students work with this. The wash here, this is what I was talking about earlier in my demo, is allowing these buildings to just combine and become one shape. That's important. It ties it together. You have indicated some shadows under the eaves and the windows, but you have allowed your details to come down here on the boats. If you have too much detail in the boats, the trees, the building, the water, the eye does not know where to look. It's important to make a decision. Where do I want my viewers to look at in this painting? And here the artist has decided that it's in this boat area. Why is that? Notice the distinction between what's happening back with these buildings that are in the distance. She's reduced the contrast. She's reduced the details. Here at the boats, there's more contrast, more intensity in the color, and more details. So our eye comes down here. That's a deliberate choice by the artist. You have nice aerial perspective with the trees going back here in the distance. They fade nicely. Little sparkle along the edge of the water. Looks like you've scraped. Excuse me. Yep. Scraped the paper here a little bit to bring some sparkles back in. Very nice. This reflection line might be a little strong. See how the reflection here is a little softer in the water? This one's quite strong. If that were a little softer, this is pulling a little bit of my eye. If you take your finger and kind of soften that, cover it up and soften this area, that's going to help that a little bit. Overall, though, it's very nice painting. Another porch, wonderful. This one is midsummer. It's bright. It's beautiful. There's a lot of light bouncing probably off something here under the porch. The artist has left, again, a lot of white and painted negative space. This is negative space painting. And here, whoop, this is hard to do in this. Look how it's like here, it's all kind of the same. You need to think what's happening on the other side there. But here, there's variety. It's kind of bluish up here and kind of darker down here. That's really nice to add some variety in that fencing. And then splattering down here for indication of flowers. Comment would be that the number 68 here, be careful when you have signs that they're not too clear and obvious. If you can kind of fade a little bit of it out, it doesn't let the eye come here. If somebody comes in and they're looking at the painting, they say, oh, 68. And they go, oh, why 68? So all of a sudden their mind is off in another direction. So just gently hint at letters and numbers on signs, because we want the viewers to look in this area and not get hung up over here on this number. That's a minor detail, but we're talking about everything here. Beautiful, beautiful painting. So sensitive. It's a portrait of this gorgeous animal. Look at the eyes. The eyes say it all. When you're doing animals or people, you want the eyes to tell the story. These eyes sparkle. You can almost tell what this cat is thinking. They're at peace, but they're being watchful at the same time. There's details in the eyes and the whiskers. The contrast is here and here. The ears and going back are softer and kind of fade into the background. Your background is a little awkward. You could see your brush strokes and this you're like coloring in almost on the background, following the edge of the paper. try to somehow wet the whole background and again, drop in color and let it find its own blending for that background. But keep it softer because we want to keep the focus here. What do I mean by softer? You don't want it too intense, not really, really bright colors, not a lot of contrast, but soft background. Very nice. I love looking at people's paintings. This is fascinating to me. This is a great harbor scene. Look at this. Am I not? Here we are. Elaine. Aerial perspective back here. Perfect. Look how she had just the right amount of wetness between the sky and when she put in those trees to create that beautiful blossom of branches without having to work at it and paint each individual one out. She's also left a lot of light as she's doing horizontal strokes here with the brush on the tip of it to leave a sparkle at the edge of that water. But as this goes further back, again, less contrast, less detail, very well done between these two. These boats are wonderful. The reflections are great. Not much I can say about this. That's just great. This is the focal area. Possibly you could crop part of this. The boats are almost in the center. They're almost centralized in the painting. Maybe if they were a little more off center. So I would try possibly just cover it up. Don't cut it, but cover this with a sheet of paper, maybe this amount of this, to see if that composition, because this whole area is not really doing anything to add to the painting. This is sometimes where another person's eye can say like, well, this is great, but you really don't need that. You can cover it up with your hand to about here and see how that helps focus on those boats even more. Very nice, Elaine. Ooh, Eva. Wonderful scene. You have the lightness in the background fading into the sky. Works excellently. Your composition is strong. You're keeping things from going off, like this mountain does not go off the corner. Any diagonal line that goes off the corner is going to draw our eye out of the painting. We don't want that. So you've done well here. You've kind of softened it and just indicated that it goes off and it's not exactly on the corner. There's tension between, visual tension between the softness of the sky, the mountains, these little trees that are beginning to show but are not over defined, and then the trees in the foreground. Then you've got this one dead tree. He's still.
Carolyn, for some reason your sound stopped
The
working.
value
Oh,
difference.
now you're back. Perfect.
Hi. Okay. Did I disappear for a bit? I'm sorry.
Yes, for a couple of sentences.
Oh no. The atmospheric perspective we were talking about, to push it back. You do have it light here. This could have a little bit more oomph to it, a little more depth in the value differences. So there's more distinction between this and what's back here. You have it here. Nice. This is a little ambiguous right here, but that's okay. Be careful that these lines don't lead our eye off the edge of the paper. Beautiful painting in here, though. Very well done. Oh, another porch. I love it. This one is like midsummer. It's a hot day. It's out there. You can tell because instead of using the greener tones or the blues in the light, look at this golden tone. It makes it feel like summer. So exciting, so warm. Certain flowers are really pointed out to us. I feel it's more about the flowers than the porch. And the porch is a nice foil. It's a contrast of geometric shapes of the porch and the building against these wonderful organic shapes of the flowers and the trees. Details in here, more contrast right in here. All these elements are working so well to direct the viewer's eye where the artist wants us to look. Look at here. Here it is softer and blurred out, so we're not going to look down there as much. This is how the human eye sees. We look at something and then other things around it are out of focus. A camera will lie to us and put everything in the same focus, the same intensity, and that's not how the human eye sees. This is very well done in directing the human eye. Very nice. I'm going to take a sip of water. Excuse me. This is wonderful little sketch to me. I like it. Not overworked. Very green. It's monochromatic, almost like they were doing a study in different greens on the paper. How could I do this without bringing in other colors? The sky has been left, it looks in this photo anyway, like there's no color up there. And sometimes that's fine. It gives that feeling that it's just so bright that there's absolutely no color going on. Variety of different types of trees. If you're doing trees, try to understand what type of tree it is. Some are bushy like this one. These look like palm trees. Know if it's an evergreen, a fir tree, or a spruce, or is it a maple? Know some of the trees that you're painting so they have distinctive, different shapes and colors and form. That will add interest into your painting. Decide which ones are important. This has been done here. Francesca decided this is where she wants us to look. It has the most detail, the contrast between the white and the dark areas. Water is done very nicely. You lifted here so nicely. It's like you had the water and then you used that damp brush to lift a reflective area. These black lines here and this black line here is a little dark. Those are pulling our eye away from where you want the viewer to look. So you could just lift a little of this, not all the way across, just here. And a little bit of that there. Just a moment. This is where I run into the trouble of talking for a couple hours. This one is so unique. It's unusual. It's like the distance is out of focus. It reminds me of some sort of old-fashioned photograph or something. It's just fun to look at this. And then the boat is so detailed and sharp and pops right up at us. Be aware of your scale. Scale is this boat the right size for where it is sitting in this river near these buildings? If the people in this boat got out of this boat now and tried to go into one of these doors, are they the right size to fit in that door? So they wouldn't be going in this door. They're more on the picture plane, wherever this is. So that's a thought. But look at how this controls us. We were talking earlier about contrast. There's the contrast, detail, intensity of this red. Warm tones tend to grab our attention more, and it pulls our eye right here. These are softer. This is obviously some red and other green and stuff, but look how soft that is to push it into the distance so nicely. This is the fascinating. I keep wanting to look at it and study it. It's great. Very nice fed beak. Joanna. Green. This is monochromatic. Yellow, green, green, and blue-green. A study in green. You do have some blue-green back here to help set that back, yellow-green here. Try when you're painting with green, it becomes so intense in a landscape. If you can add into it a little bit of burnt sienna or a magenta or blue, so that you get a variety of greens and it's not all. You have a little bit here, there's some yellow in here. Red, any red or purple will help neutralize your greens in the middle areas. This is just, it's a green painting, but your linear perspective is great. Going up the steps, going into the distance, it pulls us into the painting and up that hill. I like the fence indication too. Very nice. I do. I want to go up this hill and see what's behind that tree over there. Where's this light coming? There must be something magical back there. I like this. It's very soft. It's a very oriental style painting. Reminds me of, like a Chinese or Japanese brush painting. Has that simplicity of approach. That indicates, look at this little bit of red here that pulls our eye forward. Normally we'd say there's a lot of area up here that's not doing too much, but that's kind of the style too. Sometimes we learn all of these rules and then we can bend the rules. So she's really brought down the focus much further down in the painting than is typical of your rule of thirds. She brought it down further. The horizon line is low. It's nice. I would like to see more of this bird. If you could, you did it here. You outlined it quite well. And it is important to have lost and found edges, but it almost gets a little too lost right in here. If you could bring something around to define the shape of this area of the bird a little bit more, Laura, I think. Otherwise, very nice. And I believe you intended for this to be a monochromatic kind of blue-gray painting. Oh, I saw this. This painting, you could turn this in almost any direction and it would probably work. It's semi-abstract, but it's lively and it's obvious what it is. It's these beautiful bumblebees on these flowers. The flowers go into the distance and fade away. And the bumblebees, look at them. They're great. They're great. I love look at the wings. The wings here are just like lifted and they're suggested and not spelled out. Here, they're lightly suggested with a little bit of detailed lines in there. This one is so much fun. This is just a fun painting to look at. And bees in nature do kind of stay apart from each other. In a painting, it's almost like boop, 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 boop. You've got these 4 or 5 dots with this dark flower. Sometimes if you overlap things a little bit, it helps pull it together a little more, connecting your darks somehow. So much fun, Lena. I like this. Oh, here's this one again. This is one of Paul's demos. I remember him doing this demo. A lot of green. I know what his demo was. He worked with that. You've got more open distance here with some blue. You've brought in some reddish into this green, helps break that up a little bit. So it's just not flat green. Done very well. Perspective on your steps is working very well. Perspective, linear perspective can be a tricky thing. I know today we're kind of emphasizing aerial perspective, which is atmospheric perspective. but linear perspective is vital. If you're going to include it in a painting, it needs to be accurate. I like the light on these trees right here too. It's coming down and catching, and then this side is in shadow. Letizia, very nice. Marcella, I like this one a lot. I've seen this. It's been a while since I've seen this painting from students. You've done a great job with it. The snow here, those soft areas of snow and shadow, those subtle impressionistic colors. White is not white. Snow is white, but it's not white. It's reflecting everything around it. So you have a light blue, a light magenta, a little light yellow, a light green. It's all there because all colors are in light. When it hits something like snow, it reflects off from it and creates this feast of color for our eyes, even as subtle as it can be. The trees back here, you have different types of trees, like we were talking earlier. I like your scraping to bring out some branches. Very well done. And this hint of blue down here in the water that's gently reflected back here and here. But this is that runoff snow blue. I was in Alaska in June, and the glaciers, when they melt, it creates this beautiful blue in the water, and you have captured that in this snow scene. Beautifully done, Marcella. Oh, I wanted to mention too, the shadows. See how the shadows curve over this snowbank? That, without those curving shadows, this snowbank would look flat. And this shows us that it's curved and it's rounded. See, little details make a difference, but not overdone. Just hint at them. Maureen, I saw this and I'm like, this is fascinating. It almost feels like a Jackson Pollock painting in a sense to me, like an early Jackson Pollock. It has a sense of trees and looking through with the sky peeking through. It's dichromatic. You have basically two colors here, like a burnt umber and a green, basically. And then you've scraped. Look at your scrapings, worked very well here. A lot of texture, a lot of variety. You let the wet on wet paint do its own dance, and then you played with it afterward. What I mean by that is you dropped paint into wet areas or used a spray bottle to allow the pigment to blend, and then you scraped out to create these branches. Great approach for techniques. There's no definite area of interest. It's kind of an overall situation. If you chose maybe one of these trunks, not the whole trunk, but part of the trunk, and pulled out some darks or something to create a little bit more of an, but I know you don't want to ruin this beautiful texture back here either. Oh my goodness, the conundrum. What do I do? How do I make this work? But it's fun. I think just a little subtle darkness in here and maybe one or two branches coming off. We'll pull that a little more as a center, an area of focus. This sky is riveting. It glows. The colors you have here, Mercedes, you've got purple and yellow together, and they don't become mud. You've done a great job with this. You've allowed this area to glow beautifully. And again, these two complementary colors. Sorry, I had to switch my microphone. My AirPods blew out. Can you hear me okay?
Absolutely. Perfect.
Okay, thank you.
the colors, the fact that they're complementary colors and you're making them work so well together is excellent. And then this on the horizon, catching that red, which backlights these huts and silhouettes what's happening here on the porch. This boat looks like it's sitting on top of this dock. You see that? So if the boat is in the water behind the dock, you would want to set it down in behind the dock. Doesn't really bother me, but just one of those aspects of how objects fit in space in relationship to each other. I like how you've handled these buildings. They're soft. It's a silhouette, but not just black. Well done. Whoa, gorgeous. Look at the richness of these colors. Look at how the artist allowed this blending of color. It looks like almost everything was wet, although she's got dry areas over here. In this area, wet, wet, wet and wet, allowed the paint and the pigment to do what it wanted to do and then build on that. This is exquisite. That is one of the magic things of watercolor that no other painting medium has. The fact that if you let it, it can create some magical areas for you without you working at it. Beautiful in here, beautiful. I like the two colors, dichromatic, that blue and the purple basically, or it's a reddish purple. It's a fascinating color. You have some variety of mark making over here with the texture. It looks like a dry brush or something. Some texture down in here with the blue over that purplish area. Some of these lines are not, you almost overdid it a little bit with these white lines here. You don't need them as much, but they're working fine. This is a beautiful painting. Is this, I want to see. I can't tell if that was resist or not. It almost looks like resist. It's hard to see because it online we don't have the detail. Resist tends to leave a very distinctive edge, and we need to be careful with that. And often if we do use a resist, go ahead and you've done some here, bring in some of the color that's around it to soften and blend that resist area into what's nearby. I hope that makes sense to you, what I'm saying. Look at the sky. I love that. Oh, another porch. But look at this bright, bright sunny day. Ah, this one just makes me happy, Nadine. It's just like, whoo. As opposed to the other one we were looking at that used a golden yellow, this is more of a bright lemon yellow. And it just illuminates this painting and brings light to it. Gentle suggestions of the fence posts here, not over described. Again, the geometric against the organic creates a wonderful balance. This is great. Subtle here. I like how you've underemphasized those areas there. Beautiful, Nadine. Okay. Water, wonderful. I like this. It looks like there's a lavender or something there. I like the sparkle of the white that has been left here and here behind. Variety of greens, variety of trees. You've let a lot of blending go in, and then you've used some sharp, dry brush lines. Again, overall, your even distribution of the variety of techniques and approaches. You have lost edges, you have sharp edges in some of these tree trunks. This is a wonderful waterscape. The area of focus is kind of around here, but it doesn't keep us from enjoying the rest of the painting. interesting. Sometimes you want to be really focused on something, and then others, especially a lot of landscapes, you do want to wander around throughout the painting and enjoy the whole thing. Just don't want anything that's going to pull your eye out of the painting, which you do not here at all. Nina, this is such a sensitive portrait. Your soft washes work excellently here. The variation of the skin tones on her face, that's not easy. In my experience, I think doing portraiture in watercolor is one of the hardest things to do. It's one of the most challenging things to do. And you've done a great job with this. It's soft. The lower lip is understated. Her hands, which a lot of people don't realize, but a hand is as long as the face, and you have the hand in the right proportion to her face. Many artists make the hands too small. The sparkle in the jewelry, the way you did that, I haven't looked. I don't know if you did negative painting. It looks like you did negative painting, but, or maybe you used resist. I'm not sure, but it works great here. It just works wonderfully. My only consideration is the eyes. This eye is up much higher than this. If her pupil is right here in this eye, then the other pupil would be down here. And I think that's just gotten a little bit high. But overall, beautiful, sensitive painting. Pablo, nice sketch. This is in a sketchbook. Or is that, I can't tell. You've got the spiral bind. If you can, go ahead and crop a painting before you send it, because this gets a little distracting. Nice painting, interesting sky. The water is working beautifully. Look at the variation of colors in that water. Very nice. The little homes. You've got the roofs are reflecting in the water, but not too much of the building. Water reflections are tricky. The water sees the object from a slightly different point of view than we are. And I think you've got that. You're not going to see this whole house as if there's another whole house here. Just maybe the top of the roof and a little hint of the side of the house. You've got trees. Got a little carried away with some of the branches on the trees. You don't need quite that many details. Like what you've done here is suggesting tree branches. Here it's subtle too. These get a little too detailed. Overall, this is a nice one. Look at these colors. Love the colors in the sky too. Okay, I have not seen this demo at all, but these are great. I love the cerulean blue in the shadow of these cups. Again, kind of a dichromatic painting, basically two colors. You've got your sienna color and that cerulean. And in areas, they blend together and create a nice neutral. The cups are very well drawn. They feel solid, three-dimensional. Your shadows are following the light. The light is coming from here. So the light, as it hits this side of the cup, yes, it's at this angle. As it hits this side of the cup, it's at a different angle. What? I lost it. Oh no. I got to get moving. And here it's more at this angle. So you've really observed how the shadows are falling. Well done. This area and this foreground are treated almost exactly the same. Again, on the aspect we're talking about today with aerial perspective, creating different values and different intensities for one or the other. I would be tempted to make this a little more intense instead of something down at the lower edge of the painting. So you could add maybe some more red or color into that. If you wanted to, it's your painting. Raffi, beautiful. This reminds me of Nope, forgot his name right now, but there is a watercolor artist that did beautiful flowers like this. Hard to see. Again, try to crop just the painting so we can see it a little better, because Zoom doesn't let me move around very easily. Soft washes, a little more detail, and then the sharp details when it's dry at the end. Wonderful variety of approaches in this, and you've let a lot of the light paper shine through to make this sparkle. And you brought up just enough detail in some of the flowers to tell us what it is. This is a beautiful painting. It's framed. I hope it's in a show somewhere. That would be great. I'm sorry. Another portrait. Again, portraits are tricky. This is so nice. You get a feeling of this person. The wrinkled skin, your structure of the face is strong and quite accurate. I think there's a little too much distance between the front of the face and the back. Maybe if the ear were just a little bit more forward. I know the hair sticks out there. And I'd like to see a little sparkle in her eye as the cornea, the wet part of her eye, catches a little light. But this is a very sensitive, expressive portrait. And the hat fits down on the head. Oftentimes people doing a portrait with a hat don't get the hat that sits down over the head. And you have done that and done a great job at it. Her skin is exquisite. Oh, even brighter day. Look at this. Ah, this reminds me of Charles Reed. I don't know if you know any of Charles Reed's paintings. He's a wonderful watercolorist. I believe he's passed now. But it has that sense of light and bright color and free-flowing brush marks and splatters, and not too worried about details, but still those things that need to be explained clearly and sharply, like the building structure is strong and clear, while the flowers just dance about it and create a beautiful painting.
So Terlyn, I realized that we have spent more than 2 hours together. So my suggestion is actually that we take a break from these, a pause, and share information about how to continue
I'm
enjoying.
sorry, I tried to move it
I
over.
understand. You want to give your very everything to everyone. But my suggestion is that we take a little bit of a break, and then we go back to that after we've informed everyone, because I know that there are people who are still in the live stream who are like, I wonder, we have had some comments saying that they're interested. So I would love to share a bit about that, and then we can go back to the feedback. And as you all could see, there is so much to be learned from having this kind of feedback session, having a tailored experience, and also learning from the other people in your community. So for those of you who are curious how to join Artefacto family, your artistic path, first and foremost, this is a 12-month artistic path, and this is what's included. We have different themes. 3 months in a row, there will be a specific theme. And then you will also have different aspects that we will walk through. And the first module that lies ahead, and this is also information for those who are already in the Artefacto family community. The first module is in October and November. It's like seeing like an artist and strengthening your foundations by discovering depth, light, and mood so every painting feels alive. We will walk through some of these. You can see playing with possibilities, experimenting boldly, finding your voice, going beyond copying. And in June to August, it's going to be about creating your flow and building your rhythm, structure your practice, and gain confidence in your path. So all of these build upon each other and highlight different aspects of painting, of the artistic journey, basically. So let's take a look at what lies ahead. The first module, as we shared in October and November, is about seeing like an artist. And the goal here is to strengthen your foundations, by discovering how to use depth that every painting feels alive. And we have the beautiful guest Lorraine Simmons, I actually don't know how to pronounce that last name, focusing in on faces that speak by zooming in on character and personality in portrait. And the curator for this month is Teralyn, that you've gotten to know today. We also have November, where it's about a rhythm on paper, energy and movement in composition. And here the guide is Ken Goldman. And of course, there's also a curator session, and this time it's also with Teralyn. So here are some examples of the kinds of art that these masters use, and you can see how they use colors, composition, soft edges, hard edges. So we have that seeing like an artist, understanding how they choose the way they choose, and seeing so much variety from these different masters. These exact paintings won't be the case, but this is a similar style. And then the next step is playing with possibilities. And here we have the guides, Sarah Stokes, sharing her expertise in lines and colors in dialogue, using both ink and watercolor in landscapes. And as you can see, for all of these, we have beautiful Teralyn guiding in the curator session that is added to this experience. We also have January, which is about layers of light. You can see that it goes on, and here are some examples of their artworks. So you see the variety of styles that you get to learn from. And month by month throughout the year, you will move toward different results and towards feeling more confident, and also feeling that you have more options, because you will be guided by star artists and watercolor legends. And here's what's included. There is one Zoom per month with a watercolor master, and then we have one Zoom per month with our beautiful curator. So there is this consistent rhythm of curated lessons, live feedback, and master demos. There will be over 30 complete artworks that you can paint during this year, and feeling that sense of clear progression. And for the first time, this is not just a membership model where you have access to the materials as long as you're a member, and then it suddenly disappears forever when you end it. Instead, this is lifetime access to the Zoom recordings in this particular way that we are inviting you into today, those of you who are new to this. We also have the Grand Collection, which is an exclusive library of studio quality video lessons featuring world-renowned watercolor legends such as Liu Yi, Yuko Nagayama, Eugen Zizhnishyan, I need to practice that pronunciation, Elke Memler, and Barbara Nechis. And they're beautiful artworks. It's not just a set of lessons. This is a result of years of work by the Artefacto team, figuring out what will help you and transform you the most. And we have negotiated with the most unreachable watercolor masters, those who rarely teach, that you cannot learn from in any other way, to give students what is almost impossible to find anywhere else. So this is a very special aspect, and you have the rare chance to learn these techniques and approaches that usually remain behind closed doors. So that is part of this as well. If you choose 2 of the different plans, there will be 3 different pricing plans that you can choose from. And they are not Zoom recordings. These are filmed by a professional team. So you will see every detail clearly in the Grand Collection. So this has taken years in the making to create something very, very specific. And they will never be, they are not released publicly or sold separately. They're only available, and you're only available to reach them within the annual program. So these are some artworks from this experience. So these are the artworks in the Grand Collection. And here are the pricing plans that we have. So everything that we have shared right now, it's actually this one, the premium one. You will get access to the Grand Collection for 1 year. When you join this, you will have lifetime access to the Zoom replays, and you will have access to the live Zooms and be in the room with the artist, the watercolor legend, and also, of course, in the Zoom room with the beautiful professional curator such as Teralyn. If you choose the anniversary flagship, you will also have lifetime access for the grand collection. So that is the difference between those. So if you really want to have those as well for life and just pay once and then have all of the materials, then the anniversary flagship is for you. And if you only want to have access to the grand collection for 1 year, then the premium plan is the one for you. We have a limited number of spots on these two plans. The standard plan includes only the recordings, so you will not have the space in the room, you will not have the feedback aspect, but you will have the recordings. So this is where you watch from the sideline and you can just join in the recordings, whereas the premium and anniversary flagship, they are where you are in the room, where you get the feedback, where you are there learning while it's happening. So the standard is for independent learnings. You will still have lifetime access to the Zoom recordings. However, there will be no live Zooms and no grand collection. So this is great if you want to try it out at a lower cost and do it on your own. And the premium is the best choice if you want to progress, if you feel that you want real growth, support, and community. You have the live aspect, you have the lifetime access to the Zoom recordings, you have feedback on your works in real time, access to the grand collection for this year, and a clear structured path for steady progress. So this is perfect for anyone who feels stuck and want that feedback, that regular practice, and that community and all of the good stuff. And as I mentioned, there are a limited number of spots for this plan. And the anniversary flagship is the unique one because it's very unique to get access to the grand collection lessons. And we only have 50 spots available for that plan. And if you join the program now, you will also be invited to the September session with Yuko Nagayama, and you will also have lifetime access to that recording and look at her beautiful, magical artworks. So here you will learn how to capture flowers in a soft atmospheric light, build emotion through tone, contrast, and simplification, and making each petal glow without overworking it. And this is exclusively for members of the Artefacto family and the program that we are launching now, Artefacto Family, Your Artistic Path. So there's a button below this video, so you can scroll down and click join the course. And there you will see everything about how to move forward. You can choose the plan that feels right for you. And we highly recommend the premium plan, or if you want to have all of the materials for lifetime, we have the anniversary flagship, but the premium plan is definitely also going to give you that support system. Whereas the standard will give you the information and you have to support yourself. And once you have paid for this, you will receive an email. It's a secure payment. We don't get any information. You will get an email with directions and access to the program on the platform. So warmest welcome to join us and get more structure, know what to paint when, and have a clear understanding on why to choose what, more consistency that keeps you moving, feedback from mentors, connection with peers, visible, the tangible growth, one painting at a time, and also live access to the watercolor legends in our beautiful watercolor world. So our promise is that by the end of Artefacto Family, Your Artistic Path, you'll have more than new techniques. You will have created a painting habit that you can trust, a body of work that you're proud of, and a sense of direction, so that you feel freer and more inspired to move forward. And as you also heard before, it's going to be focused on training your artistic skills, not just your painting skills. So we also have some questions that you might have. If you have any questions regarding this, and Nina, if you are already in the Artefacto family, you can continue just the way you have. You will also receive much more information on email if you are already a member of Artefacto Family 3. You can, however, join and upgrade by sending us an email if you want the lifetime aspect and the collection, access to the grand collection. So let me share some of these questions that might have been popping up. Who is this program for? Well, first and foremost, it's for you who want to paint watercolor. So it's perfect for beginners, intermediates, and experienced artists who want to enhance their watercolor skills. You join unique Zoom sessions with professional artists and be part of a community, a super supportive community, and start painting regularly. And you can always use the materials you have on hand, and there will also be a list of recommended materials from the artist in advance so that you know if you want to complement what you already have. That will be posted in the Zoom sessions lesson. You can find anything there to prepare yourself. And if you can't attend a live session, you will receive a recording of the session so you can watch it at your convenience. And since this is also lifetime access when you join this, you can study anytime you want. And our video lessons are recorded. Critique sessions and workshops can be completed at any time later, so you can also file in for feedback and receive that and watch it later. And of course, you can take this from wherever you are because this is held entirely online. So, and the Grand Collection is an exclusive library of studio quality masterclasses by watercolor legends that are only for the Artefacto Artistic Path members and not available anywhere else. And the discount is not my expertise, so I will not answer anything about that. And that was the information that I had to share. And warmest welcome to join us and ask us anything if you have any questions. And also just mentioning before we continue with the critique is that we will continue our camp with the art talk with Lauren McCracken, Finding Your Way in Watercolor. And that's going to be wonderful. So also want to just remember that we will continue then as well. So that's all I had to share. And Teralyn, it would be wonderful to hear some more reviews now that we know that this is possible for all of us to get. We can all be part of this community and receive this kind of feedback and inspiration. So let's hand it over to you.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, there's so many exciting paintings here, and I love looking at them and examining and talking about them because people are creating such beautiful things. And let's go back to some of the paintings. There was a lot to cover. Let's see, I've done this. I have a couple friends, my own personal friends, who are in the Artefacto course, and I have seen such growth as they continue taking Artefacto courses and working with the critiques and working to expand and improve their own art. It's exciting. Artefacto is a wonderful school, in my opinion. Sabine, this is great. You're using your typical colors. Now, Sabine is the student I've worked with for a while now, and she is working in Constantine's portfolio class to try to grade consistency and a comprehensive portfolio so she can approach galleries and shows and things like that. And here she's using her distinctive colors in this beautiful portrait. Exciting. It goes with the person. He has the sense of this person and who she is. Great, good structure and proportions for the head, the arm, and shoulders. The just a little bit, Sabine, is the nose. We could fix this nose a little bit. It looks like it's coming out a little bit, just a hint of shaping that with a little darker color. Great painting. Satu, this is strong, you have great distance, you have sparkle in the water, you've used wet in wet technique, you have used dry brush to create that sparkle. Your scrapings in the rock here work well to help give details in those solid rocks and the light here on the water. I don't know what else to. This is a wonderful painting. Very well done. This is unusual, Sophie. I think it's unique. I've seen this when you're flying and it looks like the sun is sitting on the wing of the plane, and you've got a nice monochromatic painting here, mostly blues, a little warmth in there, and your linear perspective in the clouds work well. Now, it's not that there's a line there like stairs going back, but linear also says that things that are closer are larger and they get smaller as they go back and they flatten out. And you've done that. You have more contrast in the clouds up front and less as it goes back. All your elements are working very well. Where the sun is and the angle of that plane work excellently in this design. If we made this into an abstract design, which basically it is. Great job. I think I've seen this before. This is strong. The negative painting around the mustache and in the beard. Look at this. Gorgeous. Really makes those hairs stand out. And the expression in the eyes. Excellent. It's focused, close in on this person's face, studying them and strong. Excellent painting. There's a little lack of three-dimensionality in this side. This one feels very round. This one is almost a little stuck on. Just a hint of making this a little more round would really improve that. Overall, great. Just so expressive, so expressive. And we want to do that. We want to express ourselves in our paintings. Yes, we're painting a person, but it's also partly us because we are the artists. This one, great division of space, working very well with the rule of thirds. My goodness, you talk all day, it gets hard. Rule of thirds here, and then the division right here, where the center of interest is at the intersection of those two lines. The branches or whatever, grass is sitting across the surface of the water here, works great. You've got this soft sky and the reflection of the sky, and then these horizontal lines make it feel like that's the top of the water and things are sitting on top. Like this. A little scrape across here to indicate it's a reflection. Nicely done. Oh, Tanya, this is wonderful. Tanya's one of our great WhatsApp ladies. She's in that WhatsApp group all the time, encouraging other people, supporting them. It's a great community. This is a strong, rich painting. It's a little heavy, so you get the feeling of this woman. What I mean by heavy is it's kind of dense in here, the colors, and you lose the contrast here, but you've got this strong light on her head. So it gives the sense that this woman is not necessarily in an easy place in life. So Tanya is expressing emotion very strongly in this painting by the way she has applied the paint and the color and the darkness. It's not really dark though, but it seems dark around this woman's face. And her expression is a little not sure, a little fearful, looking over her shoulder. But in this dark, it's all color. Express dark and light with color, like the snow scene we saw earlier, and in the shadows here, using color to express value. I think that's it. That's it. That's amazing.
Wow!
I know.
You
I
did
tried
it!
really hard. I'm like, I've got a minute and a half per painting, and I'll tell you, it just kind of gets what great artworks this community is producing now. I see some of your faces. Hi, Sabrine, Jackie.
And what I
Laura.
found was so fascinating was that we can really tell that even when we learn from masters and we learn from someone, we can still do our own thing. And this was such a great example of how our own creative voice is growing when we paint a lot and when we try things and when we are creative and curious. So thank you so much, everyone who has shared this. And that's such an impressive thing to do and super impressive and inspiring to see so many different styles, so many ways of interpreting images, and hearing your thoughts was super helpful. I've read in the chat also, Teralyn, lots of people in the other chat who said that this has been so helpful because now I realize things that are relevant to me as well.
Yeah.
So beautifully
So
done.
just to if I can let people know, I mean, I'm here. I tell people if they want support. I have a Patreon group, which is great if people want even more personal time. I am for Europeans. I'm going to Italy in April. If you're interested in a workshop there, check me out. But this is I support Artefacto so much. It's keep
And
painting, everyone, and play with it and
yes,
have fun.
and this was only the first out of 3 sessions in this specific 2 week period. So this art camp that we're having right now. So we have 2 more sessions to look forward to. And this was a beautiful introduction. Thank you so much for getting us started and sharing your insights and taking it so clearly, sharing everything in such a clearly articulated way. Super, super helpful. And let me just share the, if I can find, no, I can't find it, sorry. But here we have Konstantin and Lauren will also be sharing their expertise with us and their inspiration and passion for watercolor, which is huge. So thank you so much, everyone who stayed with us for 2.5 hours. And some of the people here in this Zoom room were here for 15 minutes in advance. So they've been here for 2 hours and 45 minutes. I'm super grateful that I get to spend this time with all of you. And if you have any questions, write an email because our team is there to support you in making a decision that feels right for you. So if you have any questions, just reach out to the WhatsApp group or to the email. And we will hopefully see you on Monday when it's time for the art talk with Lauren McCragan. And then we will paint again with Konstantin after that. So now it's probably time for people to eat. Even if it's morning, noon, or evening, it's probably time to eat soon because we've spent so much
At
time
least
together.
get some water. I hope you've been drinking. It's important.
And
Thank
then
you, Nina, for
explore.
your support. You're always wonderful. Yes.
It was
Thanks so much.
beautiful to spend this time with you and with everyone who joined us today. So see you soon. And I will
Good
see
to
you
see
soon too, Carolyn, which is great.
Oh, good, good. Appreciate it. Thank you, everyone.
Bye.